Hey everyone, this is Jabron Nassif at the Kita Podcast. We got my guy Clinton Sparks joining me today, man. Thank you so much for
Of course. Thank you for
joining
having me.
us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And
I would
yeah, thanks
appreciate it
for
more if there was some snare hits in the
I
background.
know. I
Like,
might have to add an edit in or something, do like a little drum piece. I've been playing drums forever, toured with a bunch of bands, and I'm sure you've worked with musicians and things like that. So go ahead. You do a lot of stuff, man. Go ahead and just like introduce yourself. Tell me about yourself and what you do.
I would challenge you as the host of this podcast for you to introduce me so we, the listeners, can see how much research and due diligence you have done.
All right, all right. Well, we got.
No, no, I'm not. I'm just messing with you. I don't want to
Oh
put you
man,
on
I
the
was in a
spot.
do. I was like,
Uh,
I'm ready, man. I know what you do.
I go. I Grammy nominated, multi-platinum producer, songwriter, DJ, sold over 75 million records. Worked with everybody from Rick Ross to Two Chainz to T.I. to Big Sean to Diddy to Pitbull to Akon, Ludacris, Kanye, Eminem, Lady Gaga, Beyonce. I discovered and signed DJ Snake. Introduced him to Little John. We made a song called "Turn Down for What." A bunch of other records after that. Um, like I've been shaping and shifting culture for almost 20 years. Helped conceive the website World Star Hip Hop. Helped Eminem launch Shade 45. Did a lot of the marketing and stuff for Puff for Ciroc. I was P Diddy's tour DJ. I was a host on E News for 5 years. I built my own syndicated radio show in 22 markets. So I built the world's biggest mixtape website. I can go on and on, but yeah, I'm a guy that was born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts, broke. Uh, didn't have much. My father left him when I was young as an alcoholic, was sexually
Mm.
abused for many years. Had a pretty tough childhood. Figured it out on my own, dug myself out of a shithole, built a perfect life, as perfect as I could build for myself now. And I love who I am. I love my life and I love my family. And I'm going to continue to keep on uh, doing things to elevate me and my family and those around me and others' lives, which is why I do things like write books like How to Win Big in the Music Business with Damon John from Shark Tank, who wrote the forward. I'm somebody that really gives a shit and cares about other people in the world and wants to help other people find their way and be successful.
Yeah, I'm an incredible intro, man. You've done a lot of cool stuff, and we'll dive into that. The different parts you mentioned, the book, because that was on my list. Tell me about that book and what is the type of content. It's a lot of artist management or just artist like making it as an artist and things like that. What inspired you to write
No,
the
well,
book?
so it's funny because so I'm someone that's always like helped build businesses, helped build brands,
Mm-hmm.
understood marketing, strategy, communications, how to network effectively, all of these things that, it's funny. I'm really an entrepreneur and a marketer at heart that just happened to disguise myself as a successful DJ and producer
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. And matter of fact, understanding those skills and understanding the psychology and mentality of different people, cultures, demographics,
Yeah.
helped me excel at the cool stuff like DJing and producing. But which is why I've been able to build a brand and continue to be successful. I was winning 15 years ago, 5 years ago, winning today. I'll be winning 10 years from now um, because one, I care, and then two, I listen, and then three, I continually elevate and innovate on not just myself, but culture and the things that I'm a part of. So yeah, the book itself, although it's called How to Win Big in the Music Business, everybody from Damon to Rob Dyrdek and stuff would call me after they read it, like, "Why'd you just say music business? This book is like how to win big at life. You limit it to
Yeah.
music, right?"
Yeah.
And realistically, I understand that because I was successful in music business, that if a guy like me wants to teach you, you're going to listen because you're like, shit, that guy's won over and over again. So really, I really wanted to teach you how to be a better person and how to build the business and brand of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But if I write a book like that, one, it's going to be like, fucking, what does this DJ know about that? Right. Because
Yeah.
I'll be, and then two, what have you done? Because most of the fantastic things I've done have been behind the scenes. You wouldn't even know unless you talked to me or did like super research, but you can't Google me and see like half of the things I just told you. You'll just see like records I produced and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So really, the information that people really need that they don't know that they need is what I want to deliver. but I have to Trojan horse that information in the stuff that you're yearning to learn,
Sure.
so that I'm basically like giving the medicine and the baby food, so you're getting better without even knowing it. So that's what this book was, because I really have an agenda of continually writing. I'm going to be an author as much as I was a mixtape DJ. Just like I threw out mixtapes, I'm going to be putting out books, right? And if you know anything about my mixtapes, I'm one of the greatest innovative original mixtape DJs ever, right? So the time that
Yeah.
I've taken to put my stuff together, me and Green Lantern are probably the two most original, innovative guys, and I want to put that same energy and effort and originality into my books. So and that's what I'm doing. So this book really teaches you everything from, I don't care if you're in the music industry or you're an entrepreneur. It even helps you with your own personal relationships, like with your girlfriend or your boyfriend,
Yeah.
or even with your children or your boss. And that's what I get more. It's funny. Out of the, I've sold over 100,000 books independently, and out of all the people, which is daily, that
Hmm.
thank me or have something nice to say or have something, flattering to say about me or the book, nobody ever says, I'm a better musician because of you, or now I understand how Spotify works better because everybody says, yo, this book is inspiring me to be better. Now I
Yeah.
understand how to do like life things, which leads to my new book called 10 Traits That Made Me Millions in the Music Industry, a guide on how they can help you too. That's out, which is really the traits, because it's really understanding who you are as a person, identifying the things that you're doing that may be stopping you, or the deficiencies you have that you didn't even recognize were in your way of, self success. So I think self realization is probably one of the biggest things that people lack.
Hmm.
Because look, everyone can tell you what they think they're awesome at, right? It's
Yeah.
rare that someone comes in and says, yeah, I kind of suck at like fucking talking to my girl. Like it's rare. Like I suck at like communicating. Like no one really tells you where they suck at, right? And I'm not talking about their insecurities or where they may have some flaws, because people will say like, yeah, I'm not that organized. Stuff like that is fine. But I'm talking about your personal characteristics and your personality traits. It's rare that someone says, yeah, I'm a stubborn prick that doesn't listen, and I'm hard to get along with. Like nobody says that about themselves, right? So you have to like be able to reveal that to themselves without feeling attacky or preachy, or in a way that they're going to be defensive,
Hmm.
right? So and
That
that's the
makes
way I like
sense.
to approach things, because when people understand that you understand them, they're more willing to listen. And one example, for instance, think about kids and parents. The reason why most kids don't listen to parents, because they're like, you don't get it, you're old, or it's different when you were a kid, or you don't understand technology, or this that. So if you apply that same thing where, like, me and my son are best friends, he knows I know what's up, right?
Yeah.
And I'll literally say things to him before I get to the point that I'm really trying to get to. And I can't tell you how many times he's like, shit, it's like you're in my head reading my mind. So once somebody understands that you understand and care about what they're feeling or what they're thinking about or what their insecurities or fears or vulnerabilities are, now they're going to listen, because they're like, fuck, this guy really gets it, right? So and that's what I think I try to do with my books is I break it down in a way that it puts their guard down, and it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm reading this and this guy's going to yell at me and tell me what makes me suck, right? Even though it's more comfortable to do that in the privacy of your own home reading a book. But when you like warm people up to themselves and realize, and the self realization of, bro, it's not the world, it's you,
Yeah.
right? And then but say that in a way that doesn't make them say, well, how's it me, because the average person is going to be super defensive, and push back on shit that you say that's negative about. I mean, think about when you argue with your girl or your significant other, and they're like, why is that the right way? Because you say it. Why are we going to do it your way? Why is your way the right way, right? And it's like, it's a common thing people hear. And if you're able to make people understand, it's not my way, it's not your way, it's a way that we can collectively decide or
Yeah.
not decide that we should maybe approach. I'm open to your ideas too. If you have ideas on maybe solutions, we can do that. And I actually wrote down the other day, I wrote this down. I say, um, resolution is harder to achieve when people approach it in the manner of a me versus you, which is what
Mm.
most people do, whether you're in business or a relationship. If you're seeking to resolve an issue or a problem, it's much easier to achieve when you approach it as a us versus the problem, right? And like
Yeah.
most people don't do that. So if you're fighting with your girl and you're like, all right, why are we pissed off? If you have the emotional intellect to say, why are we pissed off? And then you can collectively say, well, because this is also having self-awareness, right?
Mhm.
And then once you say, well, because you're mad because I said this thing, and I guess it triggered this because you don't like that or that. Okay, now you've identified the problem, right? Now,
Yeah.
instead of pointing out who's the reason it happened or why it
Yeah.
won't, which is what people do, it's like,
Mhm.
here's the problem. Dope. Let's discuss how we think we can fix our problem, right? So, sorry, I know that was long winded just on like what's in the book, but I'm really just sharing the way that I operate and think, so you understand when I'm writing these things, it's not just like, hey, I sold a lot of records, let me show you too. It's a lot more to success than just being a great singer, producer, DJ, rapper, entrepreneur, gamer, influencer, good looking, like whatever it is. There's a
Yeah.
lot more than just like playing the drums well, which you know too. Like you're a musician, maybe you're a badass drummer, but maybe you haven't got to the success that you want. Well, it's a lot more than just being a badass drummer. And a lot of people don't understand that. And the biggest question I hear people say is like, yeah, I don't know how to brand myself, or I don't know how to network, or I don't know how to get to the next level, right? And you don't know how to get to the next level because you've limited your ability to expound on the person that you are. And
Yeah.
in order to do that, you have to realize what those limitations are that aren't allowing you to do that.
Yeah, that makes that's totally on point. All those other points you mentioned. I did see your quote, like the life is easy, people make it hard. Like I
Mm.
feel like a lot of people kind of, and I know a lot of musician friends, and they moved on to other things, and some of them haven't. Some of them are still doing well because they're opened up platforms. Like I know,
Yeah.
shout out to Zilly. He did. I was a drummer for him. We did all these tours and things like that. And he branched off and did a bunch of other things. Now he's a MC for the Houston Dynamo soccer team, and then he also does influencer stuff for Roland, and he
Mm.
also still raps. He opened up all these different avenues and platforms, which is really cool to see. And but yeah, it's really all about how you handle things, and I think that's, like you said, it's so much bigger than uh promoting yourself, or on social media within your music community.
Yeah, I mean, especially today. I mean, look, there was a time where Prince could just be an awesome musician,
Yeah.
right? And that's it. He didn't need to worry about everything else. But it's a way new day and age where you need to understand like the 15 other things that most people don't even consider when they're trying to get to their goals. Like even like a musician, for instance, like they think all they got to do is be in the studio, keep making records, and keep posting, available on all platforms, my new single. And then like, why is my records never like blowing up? Like, why does it never take? Like, there's a million other things, man, that
Yeah.
you're not even considering. You just think because you're super dope, so you think, right? And that's first and foremost. Like, you think you're the greatest, or you think you're amazing, and then without even doing market research or getting feedback from the rest of the world. And apparently, you might not be as amazing as you think you are because you're not getting the traction that you're seeking. So maybe it's not the skill that you're not good at; it's the other things you're not good at, which devalues the greatness that you think you are. Because greatness is much more than just being the great singer or rapper. The greatness is also your business, how you follow up, how you reach out to people, how you promote and market. Like, all of those things fall into being great. And by the way, if you're not great at doing all those things, then your other great thing is finding the great people that can. And that's another great thing that you need to develop is, how do I decide and pick and seek out the right people that can help me and put them in the right place to help me, show the world my great skill. You know what I mean?
That makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of people that shift, like they started as a guitarist, they played in a bunch of bands and learned a lot, got beaten up a bit, learned lessons, and they shifted to forming labels or managing artists or making them grow, or doing, amazing stuff like you. So going back to some of these bigger artists that you work with, like Gaga, Akon, Two Chainz, Pitbull, like there's a huge list, just goes on and on, which is awesome. Um, when you worked with them, first off, like how did you, I'll start from a little earlier. How did you kind of get into that bubble? Was it just kind of one after another? What was that moment when you realized like you kind of had your own workflow, you know, going
So
or
I made myself valuable to
mm-hmm,
people. And how I did that was, it's a long story, so I'll shorten it. Is I made myself a DJ on radio, which was never my goal at first. But I realized my attempts at trying to get record executives to pay attention to my music
mm-hmm,
wasn't working because they didn't give a shit. They didn't know me. I wasn't doing anything that was noteworthy for them to care or want to listen. So when I kept hearing, so I befriended the local DJ on the radio station in my city, and I'd hang out with him at the radio. I'd hear him on phone calls with record labels, and he would tell them, "Oh, my buddy Clinton Sparks, he's doing this." And they'd be like, "All right, cool. Yo, are you gonna play my new record?" And then when I would hear that, I'd be like, if I become a DJ, they're all gonna want to be my friend, and
mm-hmm.
then at the very least, give me a courtesy listen for whatever else I play to them. And then eventually, the right person's gonna hear and be like, "Yo, this is kind of dope." And then that would start the snowball effect. So when I started on the radio station in Boston, then I realized the routine of record labels. And when they do promo runs for their artists, they do regions. So they'll go down. So I built my own syndicated radio show where I was in Boston, Connecticut, New York, and Baltimore every single week, live in every state on every station. So I would be in Boston, I would drive to Connecticut, I would drive to New York, and I'd fly to Baltimore every week for years with my own dime, which I got from like doing side hustles, shoveling snow, doing whatever it was, right? And I knew I did that because I knew if Pusha or whoever Busta Rhymes was going to
Mm-hmm.
come to New York, Boston, he'd be in New York the next day, see me again. Be in Connecticut the next day, see me again, and then that weekend be in DMV area in Baltimore, see me again. Now they keep seeing me everywhere. They're like, "Oh shit, I need to be friends with this dude because he's everywhere and he
Yeah.
can help me promote my music and make me look good in all these cities." So I knew that. And then that's when I went and got on E News and doing all that stuff. And like, and then I built the biggest mixtape website in the world. So now everybody wants to be my friend. So I can put them on my website and promote them and this and that. So it's understanding strategies on how to make yourself valuable and become a value add to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Most people just think like, "Yo, I'm so dope at this thing that if I just get in touch with this guy, he's gonna see my dopeness and it's game on." Right. And it's like, man, it motherfuckers want to know what you can do for them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and then once you do that, then they start seeing other things. You know how many people are coming at important people with ideas or looking for investments or trying to prove themselves? It's like if you enter the back door by giving
Mm-hmm.
or helping or servicing, then you're going to, but there's also a fine line because you don't want to come in and end up being a slave to that, right? So you got to come in at a certain confidence level, a certain skill and talent.
Sure.
This is where the traits come into play in my new book, 10 Traits of How I Made Millions in the Music Industry. Um, but like it's understanding there's little nuances, man. Like, because, I could tell you, "Hey, do this," and you do it, but you missed out on two little parts that were important in the way of you doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
most people are like, "Oh man, I listened to Gary Vee or Tony Robbins or whatever. I did this thing and it didn't work." And it's just like, yeah, because you didn't do it right, man. And you didn't do it with the right passion and you didn't have the right cadence or patience. So there's a lot of nuances that go into developing these traits that will continue to have you winning over and over and over again. I mean, the nucleus of all of my success isn't how great of a beat I made, isn't how I crushed the show DJing. It's always been my personality. That's what
Mm-hmm.
continues to make me win. Because when people fuck with you, then they fuck with anything you're doing, as long as it's not hurting people.
Yeah. That is such a crucial thing that you just said. I mean, those points are super valid. And I think a lot of artists need to kind of follow that. And then there is, the gap of there's always been that kind of separation, even since, the 50s when you had the major labels coming up, the artists and the business. And some artists don't want to focus on the business because they want to focus on their craft. But nowadays it's like you have to
Yeah, but
learn.
those artists that you're talking about all wished that they focused on the business back then because they all got
Yeah.
fucked.
Yeah, they did. Everyone did
Yeah,
badly.
if you don't take the time to learn the business of whatever it is that you're getting into, somebody else will, and that somebody else will fuck you because you didn't learn what you needed to know.
Yeah, that's totally true. It's funny enough. I was this was like 5, 6 years ago in Houston at an audio school, audio college. I was a music business teacher, and I would tell them they would ask me so many things, like like why do I have to promote this, or why do I have to I just gave them all the kind of tips, like start your own label,
Oh, dude, it's like
form a brand,
someone playing basketball saying, "Why do I got to show up at practice? Why do I got to learn the plays? Why do I have to build a relationship with my other players? Why do I have to be cool with the coach? Why do I have to, when I'm off the court, now be a decent human being so it doesn't affect the rest of the team and the organization?" Like, there's a lot of other things you got to consider than just knowing how to dunk the ball and have great ball handle.
Yeah, totally. So going kind of feeding off of you into the I did see an interesting quote that you posted. Says most overnight success takes 10 years to happen. Meanwhile, most overnight success doesn't last 10 years. And this is a great point about these younger artists that blow up, they go viral, and they don't know how to kind of take that moment and turn it into a brand or business. So like what do you kind of what inspired you to write that quote?
Seeing people over the past 20 years of my career constantly fail. And I can literally smell them. Like as soon as I see somebody, I'm like, they won't be here next year. Because you can just tell from their personality and the way that they're
Mm-hmm.
talking and treating other people, their body language, seeing the people around them. So the reason why people that finally make it after 10 years don't last 10 years, because that 10 years that they just kept like pushing, and they finally broke through, they forgot to build a stable business behind them. So when they finally broke through, they're like, all right, cool, we're here now. Here's everything that I've been working on and building, and it's solid. And here's my team. Here's my plan when I break through for the next 5 years. What they do is they spend so much time just trying to chase a viral hit,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh man, I hope I get a million streams. That when they do get something that goes viral, they're like, oh fuck, what do I do now? Like, shit, now I got to get my business together. Well, the train sped and kept going, and you lost now because somebody else now
Too
who
late.
just went viral tomorrow, like had their business right, and there's no more room for you on this train. So that's why I came up with that because and there's another thing. There's a lot of people that have been putting in years of work before they break. And it looks like to everybody else, they just came out of nowhere. So when they sit there and they compare themselves to that person's success right now, and they just compare it by the merit of their own personal taste of what they think
Mm-hmm.
is better music. So let's say, I don't know, let's just say Cardi B, or let's say, Offset, right? And another rapper comes out is like, man, I'm just as dope, da da da. And you just started rapping, and you don't realize Offset has been doing this for 7 years prior to this, that you never even heard of them, and all the obstacles they had to overcome, and the people they got dissed by, and the
Mm-hmm.
meetings, and the free shows, and all these things that they did to finally get there. You're missing. I say it in one of my books about if you're just comparing yourself, you're a great singer, and you're really pretty, and people like enjoy you, and you compare yourself to Beyonce, and you're like, yo, I sing better than her. My records are better than hers. Well, you're comparing to the wrong thing because
Mm-hmm.
Beyonce isn't just a song, right? She's beauty, she's empowerment, she's hard work. There's a lot more things in that make it's a full package that you need to really compare yourself to. And that's where people make the mistake. They compare themselves to the wrong thing. But even more than that, they're making the mistake of even comparing themselves in the first place.
Exactly.
You need to be the first you and not the second somebody else. No legend has ever been from Walt Disney to Tom Brady to Jay-Z to Beyonce. No one's been the second version of somebody else. They were an innovative, original, broke through Serena Williams, like all these people, like there is nobody else like me. It's just me in this category. And
Yeah.
like that's how you have to approach in life. When you look at a Travis Barker, I'm saying it as a drummer, how many other Travis Barkers are there?
Yeah.
Zero. There aren't any. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, there's good drummers, a lot of great drummers out there, but they ain't Travis Barker. And what I mean by that is they're not the full package. right? So when you're comparing yourself to somebody else, you're always going to let yourself down, or you're going to miss out on things that you don't understand that you're comparing yourself to. So
Mhm.
when you just have your plan for your skill and your goal, and you're focused on your plan, one of the quotes in my new book, since you've quoted me a couple of times, is really giving a shit about your plan also means not giving a shit about somebody else's plan, right? And like too
Mm.
many people sit
Yeah.
there and worry about what about that guy? Look what they're doing. Da, da, da. Who gives a shit? Was that part of your plan? No. Like them hating on you or them getting what they got or da da da. And one other example I often use is uh, to illustrate not worrying about other things when you're focused on your plan is if
Mm.
you're running down the field on a football field with the ball in your hand and you're heading to the end zone and somebody in the stands yells like, "Oh, you suck," or whatever it is, are you going to throw the football down, look at that guy, and run to the fan and go handle that in the middle of you chasing your goal? Like, no, that shit doesn't matter. The end zone and your focus on running down the end zone. There's already people on the field trying to stop you from getting there, which is life. Bills and issues and whatever. Like, look at the other players on the field as like the obstacles that already exist in life
Yeah.
that are in the way of you getting to your goal. Once you found that open lane and you're running down there, you're going to let some dumb shit that had nothing to do with your plan get in the way of you getting that. So at that point, who's really the idiot? That person who said something dumb or you being distracted by them?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a big test to, I mean, it can be anyone in business, but like it's so easy to get suffocated by distractions and obstacles, but you have to like
It's
you said,
also easy to not be
yeah,
suffocated by them. It
yeah,
depends on what you choose.
yeah, yeah, it does. No, that's mind blowing. That's some good tips. And um like
This feels like I'm actually having a consultation with you, and you're taking it in more than just a podcast. Like, yeah, this guy's
no,
doing
it's great.
shit.
No,
I've been doing
and
some of this stuff.
yeah, no, it's great. I think you hit the bullet too with so many different points that so many artists or just anyone in business, if it's a tech startup or gaming, and I know a ton of influencers, and they're always asking me this kind of stuff. And personality is such a big part, of all this stuff. So, um, going to the next part I wanted to talk about is your esports company, because that's just incredible. Tell me what started that, like what inspired you to start it? What are your plans for it? Kind of explain that whole brand, because it's very unique.
Sure. So, I just want to correct you. It's not an esports company. It's a gaming lifestyle
Gaming.
brand.
Okay.
We just so happen to have esports teams
Okay.
within that brand. But it's called XSET, Rep the Set. As you can see, I'm wearing one of the gaming line. We're about to actually, I'm wearing this early. We're getting ready to launch our Exit Gaming Lounge and Big Night Live in Boston, which is connected to the Boston Garden. We've opened up a bunch of gaming lounges inside Dre's Las Vegas, which is the biggest hip hop club in the world. About to take over one of the biggest historical facilities in Hollywood, and it'll be called the XSET blank blank, which
Oh,
will be
nice.
announced soon. But anyways, yeah. So I got into the gaming space about 2017. I connected with a bunch of kids called FaZe Clan that didn't have a business model or any really revenue streams or anything. And we went over there and turned that into an empire that now went public at a over $1 billion valuation. And why I did that is because my buddy Greg Selko, who's the CEO of XSET and I've been
Hmm.
friends with forever, he was also the CEO and founder of karmaloop.com. Um, he was like, dude, I need you to come to the office right now. So I went to this office in Hollywood and I go in there. It's like, it looks like the boiler room. Everybody's like running around. I'm like, what is this? He goes, dude, we're going to get into the gaming space in esports. I'm like, what is that? And he was like, dude, trust me, this is it. Da, da, da. Like, I trusted him so much that day. I like invested 50 grand into something that wasn't even existing yet. Right. So, and then I became the chief business development officer there. And after that week, holy shit, this industry is what my brain has been waiting for. Because my brain's always been too big for everything I've been around. What I mean by that is like ideas and things I want to
Yeah.
do and how to integrate stuff. And people just wouldn't get it. So when I went, I seen the gaming industry, I'm like, holy shit, I can connect music, fashion, sports, art, culture, like underserved communities, like everything into this space. So we turned that company from literally zero, no business model, just a bunch of popular kids online, to the behemoth that it became, and the number one recognized esports and gaming company in the world, as it relates to organizations with talent like that. But then as I spent 3 years there, and as I'm doing, there was a lot of difficulties of me pushing things through and people seeing the value and the ideas and the opportunities I was bringing to the table. So I decided, me, Greg, and Will, who all come from Boston, and Karma and a bunch of other stuff together, we decided to leave and start XSET 2.5 years ago. And I'm proud to say now XSET is built off of all the values and principles that are in my soul, which is caring about people, giving back, empowerment, diversity, inclusion, and it's reflective of what the brand is being recognized of right now. And currently, we're the fastest growing gaming lifestyle brand in the world. We got everybody from Sway Lee, Pitbull, Ozuna, T Grizzly,
Nice.
Quality Control Music, Ezekiel Elliott, Justin Simmons, Marco Wilson, Nigel Sylvester, Ganga Tattoo, like all these people. I'm
Yeah.
basically building the world's greatest culture club, with the common denominator of gaming, connecting everything through the lifestyle that's associated with it. So I'm really excited about all the things that we're doing. And next year is going to be the real big breakout year that makes us one of the most impacting and important brands in pop culture. If you're listening right now and you're not familiar, at XSET on Instagram, follow us at XSET, and it's xset.com if you want to learn more about us.
Yeah, everyone go check out XSET. It's when I went to it, I was just like, this is really unique and different, and gaming such a big, it's a huge world, man. And it's exciting.
It's a multi-billion-dollar space. Last year, I think it made,
Yeah.
this year, $208 billion. It makes more money than the music and movie industry combined.
Yeah. That's absolutely insane. So anyone, and I always, going back, I've been to South by Southwest, I think 4 times in my life. Went with the badge and the business side, and the other few times I was going as an artist with like bands I was playing in. I always went, like, once gaming was added to the South by Southwest, I was like, this is art. People need to go to this. Now it's like really huge, but this was back in 2011, 2012 when they first started adding the gaming sector of South, and I saw so much potential. I was like, oh my God. And then look at it now.
I was late to the game, but I've been a very important figure in helping to push it all forward to the masses.
That's incredible, man. Well, man, thank you so much for joining, everyone. This is Clinton Sparks. Go to clintonsparks.com. Plenty
all my socials at Clinton Sparks. If you want to get daily game, as you pulled a bunch of quotes from my Instagram, follow me at Instagram at Clinton Sparks, TikTok, everything else at Clinton Sparks.
Yes, go follow him on socials. Very motivating, inspiring. And then go to the site, bunch of the books you can order on there. I'm about to get one myself, after this call. But yeah, man, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me involved and getting people familiar with other people.